unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent Black thought. This is the BlackChannel.net radio program, and I am, of course, your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Haters be damned. We are here again. Very glad to speak with you all here this evening. As a matter of fact, I will be taking telephone calls, which after the day I've had, I probably need to stay away from anything that resembles a telephone. Much less giving random people the ability to contact me. First last night, then today. I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment. But I am here with you all here this evening. The telephone number is 646-787-1933. That is 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the Black's radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, I want to review a couple of things here, first of all. If you have not gotten your tickets in your city or near your city to see our upcoming documentary film, Race War, what in the world is wrong with you? I guess you're figuring if you hide from it, it won't come and get you. Well, it's going to come and get you regardless. But if you haven't been to our website, racewarmovie.com, that is racewarmovie.com, you are definitely going to want to be there. In New York City is going to be an event. Los Angeles, California, that's the one folks are sleeping on. I guarantee you probably shouldn't do that. I know I haven't said a whole lot about it. Los Angeles, California. Everybody in that area, California, Oakland, San Diego, you all need to make the pilgrimage. You need to make the Hajj down to Los Angeles so you can be there for this event. I'm going to be interviewing some of the people who are going to be joining us there also, so definitely everyone in that California area, and really to be totally honest with you, California, Nevada, Colorado, everybody just bring your butts over. Washington, come on down. Mexico, come on up. There's some black folk down there in Mexico. You need to. So definitely Los Angeles, you want to be there for that. Louisville, Kentucky is on the calendar. So for those of you who were not close to Atlanta, but also not close to D.C., you're in that middle area there, that Tennessee, Kentucky area. Louisville, Kentucky is on the calendar now. You definitely want to be there for that. Looking at some additional dates also that are being added for October 18th. I've got some folk that we're looking at adding dates for that. So definitely this is turning out to be quite the event. I want everybody to be there for that. This is going to be something that you're going to want to see. It's worth the plane tickets. As a matter of fact, you should go from New York to LA. It is absolutely worth it. In New York City, let me reiterate for you here one more time. We are going to be recording the event in New York. We are going to be recording it, and we will be live streaming the Q&A session when it starts in New York. We're going to be live streaming that. So for everyone who is there, you definitely want to be available for that as well. Go to our website, racewarmovie.com. That's racewarmovie.com. Now, speaking about racewarmovie.com, today we did an interview with our good friend Carl Nelson at WOLD out of D.C. Carl Nelson, good friend of the program. You know I go and talk to him every time one of the movies comes out. I'm very glad to be able to speak with him. But I gotta tell you, Carl was great. The callers, even he had to say, I don't know what's going on this phone today. Well, I know what's going on, and it's nothing but fear and cowardice that was happening. What I want to do right now is I want to review some of the calls that happened during that interview today, because when I do these interviews with these radio stations, remember you're dealing with very short amounts of time. They've got breaks that they have to take, and I try to abbreviate and just take broad strokes. I can't really go in depth the way I would like to because you can't do that. Some of the segments are going to be 15 minutes, others are going to be 10 minutes, some of them are going to be 5 minutes. And I got to try to squeeze in as much as I can because I'm cognizant of it. Radio stations like to talk to me because when I do get on their stations, I'm very cognizant of the time constraints. But by the same token, the time constraints also can't really budge. So in an hour, you might get 30 or 40 minutes of me talking within an hour. So that's what we have here at the Black Channel. I have uploaded the interview on my Black Authority YouTube channel. So the interview is there. It's also going to be here on the TBA channel as well. So whether you're a subscriber on this channel or a subscriber on that channel, it will be available for you to listen to. We're going to review some of it here. I'm not going to play the whole thing. We're going to review some of it because I want you all to listen to some of the callers that were happening here during this program. I'm going to skip by it here. I'm going to skip over the beginning of it and you see we can just skip straight to the callers when they called in. So some of the things that they were saying here, because this today epitomized why I made this movie. The interview that I did today, it epitomized why I made this film. Why it is so important that this film had to be made. This interview today proved it. Down the line. And there's a lot of ground we want to cover here, so everybody sit down, sit back, strap in, hang on tight, get ready for the ride.
The time of the day. We don't really have any friends like that. We don't deal as far as that's concerned. That's how dangerous a situation that this is now. That they feel that we're just going to come out and say it and normalize this. That's what Richard Spencer called it the alt-right. Well, this is just an alternative conservative ideology. It's just as valid as anything else. That's what they're saying. It's just as valid. That's what makes this dangerous, super dangerous now. But the worst part about it has been our complacency as a people. We really have not dealt with these demons that should have been dealt with decades ago because, quite frankly, black people have wanted to throw the ball down and go home and call it a day. And we can't do that. We run 5 yards out of a 100 yards game and saying, okay, can we declare it a touchdown? No, we can't. And the scariest part is that these are young white males. Richard Spencer isn't 40 yet. Jason Kessler, Matt Heimbach, Chris Cantwell. You can go look those names up. These are young men. So you think you're going to be done when you get done with David Duke and Jared Taylor when the senior citizens are gone? The next generation is right behind them, chomping at the bit to take the reins, and they're going to be even more hardline because they won't have the population numbers that their parents had. So they're going to be even more ruthless with it. That's where we are right now if we choose to accept that. And if we don't, they're like, hey, it works out for us even better. So I followed them from Unite the Right 1 to Unite the Right 2. And if you think that only because they had hundreds show up last year, but a dozen or so show up this time, that you're safe, understand something. All that really means is they all went back underground now. Last year was reality. This year was a farce.
You know what? Before I ask a question, I got to ask you how they feel about Jewish people, because at Charlottesville they were shouting that Jews will not replace us. Jews will not replace us. That's one of their chants. Did they talk about people of the Jewish faith?
Yes. In the case, they draw a line between being Gentiles and being Jews. Absolutely, they do draw a line there. They didn't harp on it very much, but they do make that distinction. Here's the problem that we have to understand. The problem that we have to understand is that we don't really have any friends like that. We don't. So the question, while your question is valid, well, what do they say about Jewish people? Absolutely. Please understand, there's a lot of people who are Jewish who agree with them. There's a lot of them who have their own nuances where that's concerned. And
now, the point that I wasn't able to really make during that time is that there's a situation where it seems that whenever that occurs, that we find ourselves in a situation where it's time to talk about black issues and we start trying to see, okay, who do they like and who do they not like? And that's the only issue with that. Who do they like and who do they not like? And that tends to be problematic. That tends to be problematic. We get bogged down in trying to figure that out And remember what I've always taught you all. The question isn't, are they white? The question is, are they black? The question isn't whether this non-black group is thinking this or that or the other. We have to see things from our point of what is in our interests. And that's why it's so critical to have a film like this occurring, so black people can get together and we can actually discuss what's in our interests. That's something that I want us to start solidifying, exactly what is in our interests. These are new conversations for black people to have, a conversation that the definitions are not dependent upon what other people think. That's the real issue for us to look at.
So would you please seriously address this question and
Now, this was the first caller who called in. And I got to tell you that you're going to recognize a common theme among these callers. First of all, they are older. And you all know what I have taught you now for a decade about these olders. You already know that. You already know that. You know what I've taught you. And what I've taught you is that what these people are going to do is they are going to look for the path of least resistance. They weren't fighting anybody when they were our age. They were looking for interracial sexual access. They were looking for the path of least resistance. They were doing it when they were young, and now that they are old, that when they talk to us, they don't talk to us about resistance. They don't talk to us about physical, tangible things that we can do in order to overthrow the oppression or to stand up for ourselves. Everything is going to go to some intangible. Something that you just sit around debating ad nauseum. So I want you to listen to what the first caller had to say.
Platform to these responses where that's concerned. No, there's no working with you. There's just the final solution.
Wow. 800-450-7876. Benjamin wants to get in on the conversation. He's on line 2 calling from the district. Benjamin, you're on with Jason.
Yes, sir. I would like to know, why are you providing a valuable platform to these racist, ignorant folks? They're like snakes, so why don't you just let them crawl back under their rock where they came from instead of giving them the time of the day? They couldn't pay for this type of publicity that you're giving them. So would you please seriously address this question and give it some serious thought? Why give them the time of the day? Why provide a platform for them that they would not otherwise have?
Now, you've got to recognize and identify when you are in the presence of a defeated Negro, because he's going to tell you that there is some way for you to defeat white supremacy, but at the same time, you will not have to confront white supremacy. Now tell me all the avenues of that particular statement that he made that you can see here. What are some of the avenues you can see? He's telling you, don't give them the time of day. Don't acknowledge them, because your acknowledging them is magnifying them. Excuse me. The first fallacy of that is, for that to be true, you'd have to say they don't run everything. They already run everything. Our ignoring them, see, when they ignore us, it causes problems. But when we ignore, we think we're going to do the same thing with them, and it's going to have an effect. The other thing is, you want to ignore the problem because you've been doing it your whole damn life. When they're slapping you upside the head, when they're shoving you around, when they're making their little racist jokes, you've been tolerating that your entire life. So when the discussion turns to, okay, what do we do about it? The first thing he starts talking about is, why are you giving them the time of day? People, did Eric Garner give them the time of day? Did Tamir Rice give them the time of day? Did Trayvon Martin, Terrence Crutcher, Walter Scott, Philando Castile give them the time of day? Did Amadou Diallo and Abner Louima give them the time of day? Did Sandra Bland, Rakia Boyd, Oscar Grant, Patrick Dorisman give them the time of day? Did they give these white supremacists the time of day, or did they ignore them out of existence? Tell me how well trying to ignore them out of existence worked. We need real concrete answers, and the olders are telling you if you just ignore them, they will go away. What they really mean is, I don't have an answer for you what to do about them. So if they come at you, you need to just pray. You need to put your head down. You need to be quiet, and you just need to pray, and this storm will pass. So this is what this guy said, and you can hear what my response was to him on the radio. Now that you've heard the long-form response, this is my response when I gave him.
Wow. 800-450-7876. Benjamin wants to get in on the conversation. He's on line 2, calling from the district. Benjamin, you're on with Jason.
Yes, sir. I would like to know, why are you providing a valuable platform to these racist, ignorant folks? They're like snakes, so why don't you just let them crawl back under their rock where they came from instead of giving them the time of the day? They couldn't pay for this type of publicity that you're giving them. So would you please seriously address this question and give it some serious thought? Why give them the time of the day? Why provide a platform for them that they would not otherwise have?
All due respect, that's the hiding under the rock that black people express all the time. I didn't make a film that got Donald Trump in the White House. He got there before my film was made. I didn't make a film that got Ronald Reagan in the White House. That was when I was a little kid in elementary school. I wasn't even born when Richard Nixon was running for office. So a platform they wouldn't otherwise have, they've had the platform since 1492. I'm not understanding what you're talking about here. This is a parallel reality where we pretend that if we ignore them, they will, as I just said a few minutes ago, if we just ignore them, they'll go away. We've been trying to do that since 1492. How's that working out?
And there you go. So if my film is giving them a platform, why in the world do we have Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, Dick Cheney, George W., and all the rest of them? That was well before me. How did that occur? How did that occur? Explain to me exactly how that occurred. That's the question that I have. It doesn't make any sense what they're saying unless your strategy is hiding. Because if your strategy is to hide, then of course you don't go out and acknowledge the brush fire outside your front door. Of course you don't do that. So tell me the platform that black people gave those white supremacists all the way from George Washington to today. Tell me the platform that they were given by black people that magnified them and made them relevant. Tell me what the platform was that we gave them. I'm listening. Where's the platform that we gave them that made them relevant in that way? If what he's saying is true and accurate, we should be able to identify the platform that we gave them that made them relevant. It's really just that simple. We ought to be able to do that if that is what actually occurred. Now, these are the old folk who are supposed to be leading you. They're supposed to be showing you through their experience, their wisdom, their teaching, and their example how you can defeat these. But did he give you a strategy for defeating white supremacy, or did he give you a strategy for coexisting with it? Now, that's the question you have to ask yourself. Okay, even if you don't believe Jason Black, forget Jason Black altogether. What that guy just said right there about ignoring white supremacy, tell me how you make white supremacy go away and stop pulling you over, stop shooting at you, stop victimizing you in school, stop victimizing you at your job, stop victimizing you on the streets by ignoring it. Show me one that does that. Show me a single one that does that. That's a simple question. Show me one. If you're going to believe him. Now, that type of weakness, I want you to understand as young people, that type of weakness, that emboldens the Richard Spencers. That emboldens the Daniel Pantaleos. That emboldens the Dante Servins, the Jason McDonalds, the Jason Van Dykes, the Darren Wilsons, the Geronimo Yanezes. That emboldens them. When they hear you walking in the door as males, as black males, they hear your weakness when you walk in the door. That emboldens them. That emboldens them to brutalize you worse because you're telling them that they're coming in the door looking for a fight and you're telling them, I don't want no trouble. I don't want no trouble. He's already walking through the door to start a fight with you, and this guy's response is, why are you dignifying it? This guy is beating you bloody, and this fella is saying, why are you dignifying his fists with a response? Think about that for a few moments. Think about that. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next one.
Well, let me jump in and ask you this, Jason. How do they feel about people like Benjamin? People who, I wouldn't say call him a Sambo because I don't know how he feels, but people who...
Even Carl Nelson was like, I don't have to call him a Sambo, but even Carl was like, man, do you hear this nonsense? Even Carl was like, okay, I can't take it.
Call him a Sambo because I don't know how he feels, but people who are sympathetic to the white cause, how did they, black people who were sympathetic to the white cause, we could call them Sambos, but I'm not going to call Benjamin Sambo because I don't know him.
Scared of it. The real word is scared. That was fear you just heard. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't feel he has any strength. If I just ignore it, the love of Jesus will provide. I'm not mocking people who believe in religion. I don't have a problem with that. What I'm saying is that if your battle plan for dealing with white supremacists walking through the streets saying you will not replace us and blood and soil is to say, well, just ignore them and they will go away. Please remember, they tried to ignore Adolf Hitler and his compatriots in Germany. The political strategy was just ignore them. They're a bunch of extremist yahoos. They'll go away. And within 5 years, the National Socialist Party was running the country. That's what, if you have cancer, do you ignore it? If you have emphysema, do you ignore it? Don't give emphysema a platform by going to the doctor as if somehow these people are dependent on us to promote their cause. Get real. So what you really have is a difference between black people who have a plan to deal with this and black folk who really are scared and don't know what to do. And when they hear us speak up, you be quiet now. You're going to get them on us if you keep saying that. They're already on us. Yeah, but they're going to get on us worse. If you keep that up, you mean worse than Baltimore, worse than Ferguson, worse than New Orleans, worse than that is cowardice versus courage. This is the difference that we're facing, and it's why I made this film.
Now, having said that, then that begs the question, Dallas, we saw some brothers and sisters getting strapped in Dallas. Are they...
So when we actually get serious about dealing with those kind of things, you talk differently. The way that you talk and the way that you behave, the way you act about it, those things start to sound differently depending on the perspective that you're taking it from.
Single black person, even unarmed, resisting, much less being armed, well, that was cause for national security alarm right there in and of itself. I'll give you a little bit of preview here. I had actually asked Richard Spencer about that, and I was like he said we were holding a peaceful protest. I said, but what about all those people with the guns? And he said, well, a gun can be used in a lot of different ways. It can be used for self-defense. I said, yes, but it can't be used in peace. To which you said, well, actually, it really can. I mean, it tells people back off. This is the type of mentality you're dealing with. So when they think about black people getting armed, it just reaffirms to them, yeah, see, we told you this. To them, they psychologically reaffirm that it justifies it. But in reality, they're very, very much concerned if black people got serious in that regard. Yes, they are concerned about that.
Now, I wanted to go back over that part. When I spoke to Richard Spencer, Richard had said, when I talked about the fact that there were all these armed, the white supremacists in Charlottesville were the only ones carrying guns. He then said that guns, there was nothing warlike or nothing aggressive about walking down the streets with guns in front of unarmed people. That was what he said. Now, you, on the other hand, your very presence is a physical threat. Him and his friends with guns, he's sitting here telling you, oh, nothing wrong with that. Of course. This is the reality through which he phrases everything, not because he truly believes it. What he's saying is that if I'm white and I'm saying it, I'm always correct. I'm always in the right. And that goes back to what Richard had said. That goes back to what he had said, and he meant exactly what he was saying. He meant it exactly the way he was saying it. When I had asked him about these things, this is not about what is rational or what is logical. It's not about that. Not about that at all. This is only about, at the end of the day, does it leave us running things? That's the only question that they ask. At the end of this discussion, will we still be running it? That's the question that they're asking. Are you still going to be running it? And if the answer is yes, they'll endorse whatever it is you have to say. But if the answer is no, then they are going to resist everything. Absolutely. They're going to resist everything because at the end of the day, that's all they're looking for. That's all they're looking for. I've gone ahead and opened up the telephone lines. People, we are here on business. We're not here for silliness. Do not say that you're calling in. If the telephone lines are open, if you post in the chat room, I'm trying to call in. The phone lines are open. We're going to have to get a lot of people out of here very quickly about that. We're not here to play around with folk who are looking for attention. This is not the spot for people who feel inferior and looking for somebody to pay attention. They see a group of people and say, okay, this is my time to shine. Not what we're here for. Now, what I want to do here, I want to try to play something for you. I know this is a bit of an exclusive. I get that. This is a bit of an exclusive for you, but I want to play a clip from the film, from Race War, so you can hear it for yourselves here. I want you to listen to this and hear it for yourselves, so you can hear exactly what it was that he said, and so you can understand exactly how it was meant.
Ends as ends in themselves. That is, the beauty and flourishing of the white race is an end in itself. It is better to win than to merely be morally correct, whatever that means.
It is better to win than it is to be morally correct. Right there, he's telling you, whatever we got to do to win, that's the only thing that matters. It's not about whether what we're saying is logical, rational, moral, not interested. At the end of the day, is what we're saying going to improve or maintain our position? Not the least bit interested in whether or not it is logical, whether or not it is rational, whether or not it is ethical. Those are not concerns. Those are not considerations. The only consideration that we have is whether or not this improves our position. That is the only thing that matters. Whether or not it gives us power, wealth, and influence and maintains it. It's not about the morality of it, not about the correctness of it, not about the fairness of it. To which begs the next question. Now, will you please explain to me how in the hell do you walk around with a, quote, strategy of ignoring somebody who's walking to the table saying that if I want something, I can take it, I will take it because it is there to be taken. Will someone explain to me exactly how it is that that occurs? How does that happen? How do you endorse that? Exactly what is it that you do to endorse that? Those are the questions I'm trying to find out here. How are you going to endorse it? What are you saying? How do you ignore somebody who says, I give myself the right and the authority to kick in your front door and come in shooting if it is in my best interest to do so? There is no moral question about it. There is no moral question. There is no moral ambiguity. That's the problem. And if you're not taking that into account and accepting that reality, then you don't understand that the conversation that you're having to, quote, reason with him. We had another caller who wanted us to reason with them. I'll get to him in just a moment. These old, elderly, washed up, gray-haired, fossilized, defeated, broken bucks. These broken, not a single female called in today. These were all black males. Your so-called protectors and providers from the civil rights generation, all of these broke down, defeated individuals, this is what they were telling us. This is the strategy that they were offering to us. This is the strategy. This is what they were suggesting and recommending that we do. This was the strategy. Now, I want to play another piece of audio here from Richard Spencer. This is from the upcoming film Race War. I want to play this piece of audio for you so you can hear for yourselves exactly what he told me. And then you explain to me, how do we reason? How do we ignore? How do we coexist? He goes his way and we go ours. You explain to me how we get there. This is unedited audio you're about to hear. There are no cuts, no clips. This is the entire statement that Richard Spencer made to me when I interviewed him.
I think that we should have systems in place that benefit white people. I think we should have more white privilege. White privilege, no question, exists. I think we should intensify it. We should have more of it. We should spread it and expand it and allow it to help more and more white people. Yes, so systematic racism, if you want to use this term, certainly does exist. It is always going to exist. If other people are in charge, they are going to use that against us. So therefore, we should use it for our own benefit.
Let me replay that last part one more time.
This term certainly does. Yes, so systematic racism, if you want to use this term, certainly does exist. It is always going to exist. If other people are in charge, they are going to use that against us. So therefore, we should use it for our own benefit.
There you go. There it is. Now that is a clip you all have never heard anywhere else before. I did not release this. You have not heard what you just heard on CNN, ABC, NBC, Vice TV, Netflix, all these outlets that claim that they had hard-hitting direct interviews with the alt-right, and you never heard that sentence come from him from any of those other places. No other place has ever gotten him to say what I got him to say. That was unedited. How in the world is it that he's done all these dozens of interviews and all these other dozens of places, and yet I am the only place, the first time and the only place that you've ever heard him say, well, yeah, systematic racism, if that's what you want to call it, systematic racism certainly does exist. It'll always exist. If other people have it, they'll use it against us. So he didn't say we'll use it against them. We'll use it for our own benefit. That's what he said. If other people have power, they'll use it against us. Now, that's what he says to them. Other people are not using anything against them, but it gives you the justification to say, be preemptive and victimize other people. Because if they are not weak and oppressed and decimated, then they constitute an ever-escalating threat against you. That's what he's saying. So you all heard it with your own ears. He's outright just said it. Systematic racism does exist. If other people got the upper hand, they'll use it against us, so we need to use it against them first. He just gave you a rationale that justifies, in his mind, every single act of barbarism, depravity, violence, genocide, death, murder, misery, suffering that you have ever witnessed perpetrated by Europeans in history. He just gave you a sentence that justifies every bit of it. Now, let me just be very clear with you right now. I respect Richard Spencer. Oh, shocking statement. I respect Richard Spencer. You're right in the chat room. He's projecting his racism, but he's projecting it for public consumption. He doesn't really believe it. He just needs a rationale that people can rally around. But I respect Richard Spencer. I respect him. I respect Richard Spencer. I would rather have an honest Nazi who's sitting here telling me that he's put his swastika in the washing machine. I would rather have an honest Nazi. I'm not the least bit interested in an actor. I'm not the least bit interested in somebody saying something that they think I want to hear. I'm not the least bit interested in the polite racist, the polite bigot. I'm not the least bit interested in him. I prefer my bigots to be like Governor Paul LePage and David Duke and Richard Spencer and Jason Kessler. Jason Kessler and Richard Spencer. I'd rather have them like that. I'd rather have them exactly like that. I want him to wear his banner openly. I want him to fly his flag openly. I want him to sharpen his swords openly. I can respect a Chris Cantwell. Chris Cantwell is a dirty dog, but he's not a liar. I can respect a Chris Cantwell. I can respect him. See, black folk don't want to have adult talk like that. I can respect them. I didn't say I'm bringing them home. I didn't say I like them. I respect him. I don't respect a Hillary Clinton. You're the same as Richard Spencer. You're just trying to run game. You both have the same goal. You're trying to figure out if you can ease me into the noose. And Richard's like, hold still while I put this around your neck. I prefer my Nazis honest. I prefer my bigots honest. I prefer my racists sincere and forthcoming. That's how I prefer them. This is why I was able to sit there in front of Richard Spencer surrounded by white nationalists. This is why I was able to sit there with Jared Taylor surrounded by white nationalists. I'm not here to convert you. I want you to tell me exactly the way you see the world, because the reality is that the rest of your society agrees with you. You're just some of the few who have the courage to say what the rest of them are saying behind closed doors. because they understand that black people are afraid to confront racism, and that so long as you don't actually confront black people with racism directly and demand they fight it, if you don't directly confront black people, they will bow and submit to any act of racism, no matter how heinous or vicious it is. They will submit to it so long as you don't actually confront them openly with it. When you confront them openly, now it weeds out the cowards, and now there's an imperative they have to do something. But no, sir. Absolutely not. I respect Richard Spencer. I respect my Nazis who are honest about who and what they are. We're going to go ahead with more of Carl Nelson's interview with me today.
All right, 800-450-7876. Mayhem's joining us. He's calling from Indiana. He's on line 1. Mayhem, you're on with Jason.
What's up, my friend? Hey, I'm listening to you. I want to know, do your movie go more in-depth in DNA? Because if it don't, this is the same old same.
Hotep, my friend. First of all, this phone call got off to a horrendous start. Hotep, my friend. Okay, you all know what's coming next. I want to know, do your movie talk about DNA? If it don't, so you can see what side of the tracks this fella crawled out from under the rock on. You can see where this is going real quick. Let me roll it back so we can start over again.
I want to know, do your...
From Indiana, he's on line 1. Mayhem, you're on with Jason.
What's up, my friend? Hey, I'm listening to you. I want to know, do your movie go more in-depth in DNA? Because if it don't, this is the same old, same old.
DNA? I don't understand what you mean by DNA. What does that mean?
Okay, we play in black and white, but we know if we look around, majority of the ownership of America is by brown people. We know Trump is playing white people.
Brown people own most of America? Explain that to me. What do brown people own in America?
Other brown people.
Who are other brown people?
Own America. Indians, Chinese.
Okay, what does that got to do? What does that have to do with the subject, sir? I don't understand this.
Before we go any further, did this fella just say that Chinese people are brown people? Back the phone up here. Can someone please explain to me exactly what is it? Somebody show me exactly what is it here, because I don't get it. Did this fella really just sit here and say that Chinese people were brown people? Let me back this up for a moment here. Let me see one more time, because now, as you can all see, when he started saying those things, I immediately challenged it to get it down, to make him be specific. Let's play that one more time.
Is playing white people.
Brown people own most of America? Explain that to me. What do brown people own in America?
Other brown people.
Who are other brown people?
Own America. Indians, Chinese.
Okay, what does that got to do? What does that have to do with the subject, sir? I don't understand this.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure there. Okay, Mr. Do your film talk about DNA? Do your film talk about DNA? Do your film talk about DNA? Because if it don't, it sounds like that damn Tom and Jerry thing. Is you is or is you ain't my baby. Zoot Suit Tom. Okay. That's what the hell we got on the phone. Brothers and sisters, this is your brain on drugs.
Wondering where we're going.
Okay, if so-called low-level, as Dick Gregory said, the white people that we saying to think run things, we know they don't run nothing. The KKK, we know who controls them. You didn't really answer Carl's question when he told you about the Jews.
I did answer the question. You weren't listening, or you don't have comprehension skills. I did answer the question, sir, but go ahead.
You didn't really answer it in depth.
Yes, I really answered.
I'll say this and I'm going to go.
That's right. Hang on, fellas. We got to take...
Now he's talking about I didn't answer the question about the Jews. Yes, I did answer it. So you can see what he's on. He wants to tell you that the real problem is Jews. That's how you get away from saying it's white supremacy. By the way, anybody who tells you that, quote, the real problem is Jews, you do realize that's exactly what David Duke says, right? He says the real problem are Jews too. So congratulations, you and David Duke are bedfellows. Think about that. Think about that. This is the kind of issue that you're going to run into. This is the kind of nonsense that's going to happen. These are the kind of people who are going to sit here and try to muddy the waters because that's what they do. But in reality, you can see it's a bunch of disturbed individuals. And that's what it really ends up being. We have a bunch of disturbed people with access to phone lines and the internet. And what they do is they spread their fear. So he's trying to disguise his fear as intellectualizing. Let's talk about DNA. Let's talk about Jews. Everything except talking about white supremacy. Notice that was the first thing he said. He said if we're not talking about DNA, we're not here to give a biology lesson. This is about power, wealth, and influence, not biology. No, we need to stop that and talk about biology. You mean Mr. Do Your Film talk about DNA? This guy is going to be the authority on biology? Do Your Film talk about DNA? That one sentence alone disqualified you from speaking about anything involving adults. Anything at all. Period. Period. But then again, he also thinks that Chinese people are brown. So let that tell you where this is going.
A short break here. Stay with us, Mayhem, and hang on, Jason. 800-450-7876. You too can join this discussion with Jason about his movie, Race War. We'll take your calls next, right here on FM 95.9 and also AM 1450. WOL, where information is power. And thanks for staying with us, folks. Our guest is Jason Black. He's from the movie Race War. It's a movie that you probably got to see. It says the war is underway. You know, Mark Manheim tells us about this. Some people say it's going to be a civil war, but Jason says it's going to be a race war because it usually breaks down on socioeconomic patterns. And, you know, that's, you know, where we stand on the socioeconomic scale. Before we left, we were speaking with Mayhem in Indiana. Let's see if we can get Mayhem back. Mayhem? Mayhem hung up on us. Okay, Jason, you want to respond to anything he said, or do you want to take another call?
Just very briefly there, because we've been hearing, I see a pattern forming is what I see here. When we get together to talk about serious things in a serious way, people want to start diverting off into intangibles and want to start discussing non-issues in order to, as Dr. Francis Cress Welsing taught us, they're trying to avoid the central point. At the end of whatever you want to ask, I will agree with whatever you want to say. My next question will be, all right, now, what are we going to do about this white supremacist situation? That's when you're going to get more silence.
Now, it's a good thing I said that then, because the very next caller who calls in.
Right. And well, you know, she said too, and Neely Fuller said it, you know, most people don't want it. And is David there on line too?
He's been
all right. Go ahead, David.
Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Jason, I was saying I'm glad that you put out this movie, The Race War. Kathy Hughes' station has something that we all miss, and she said information is powerful. And most people don't realize that information is really powerful. And I'm going now back to something where this race war didn't actually start. African Americans is just a group of people, but Judah is a nation. And if we knew African Americans that there's no such person as an African and an American, and you can't live in Africa and America at the same time. And if I come from Africa to America and I become American.
Okay. I gotta tell you, These old Negroes, they love to hear themselves talk. You see, what's happened in black society is that, particularly black men, are so used to being dismissed and ignored that you walk into a place and everyone ignores your existence, that when there actually is an opportunity to speak, Negroes start unloading. They just start unloading everything. That's what they do. They start unloading everything. They see an opportunity to speak, and boy, they just let it run. They just start talking and talking. It doesn't matter what they're saying. It doesn't matter if what they're saying makes absolutely no sense. If they've got your attention, they sit there and start babbling and babbling. You see what it is mixed up in the DNA is the point about, if you look at it backwards here, in the DNA of it here, and the ribonucleic soup that was formed from it here, and the deoxyribonucleic potion that was put together here. As you can see, the truth serum of the DNA is going to explain that. And the reason why this is so critical, and I want you to listen here, the reason why this is so critical is because if you do listen to the DNA, and if you do follow the footsteps, and if you are able to combine this together into a suitable hypothesis, and you're sitting there waiting for the damn point and waiting for the point and figuring right around the corner is gonna be the damn point. If I just hang in there for another 3 seconds, he's gonna say something so profound. That's what ends up happening. And you realize after spending 30 damn minutes, this nigga ain't said nothing. All he's really done, his goal was to hold your attention because he feels irrelevant. It was like the girl who called in, the first caller who called in last night. She got there on my post and specifically said the words, I know that wages are rooted in racism. She said, I know. That was what she said. I know it's rooted in racism. And then I asked her, well, give me your proof that substantiates that this is what you know. Well, it's because for her first words, well, I feel like, wait a minute, you didn't say I feel on my post. You stopped everything. You were insulting people. You were demeaning them. You were talking down to them, talking about, I know. I want you to tell me how you know it. Well, I believe it. No, that wasn't what you said on my post. You didn't say I believe. You said I know. So here we are being led into battle against white supremacists and the wannabe white supremacists from all the other corners of the earth, from all the other nations, and we're being led by individuals now. The white supremacists, their people are sitting there saying, no. That's what they're saying is, this is what we know. This is what we know. Not this is what we believe. And we're being led by folk talking about what they believe. But they're speaking to you as if it's what they know, when in reality, all they want is attention. This guy has been ignored his whole damn life, and what he displayed on this phone when he was talking to me, this is the reason your ass has been ignored since the day you were born. I'm surprised your mom grabbed you by the foot and drug you out of the hospital and didn't just ignore you there. Or maybe she did. I don't know.
American citizen, then I'd be just like the Irish American. I would be Irish living in America. African Americans is a people, and if they knew that they were a nation, it would eliminate the race war. Do you agree?
Well, no, not. I understand the point you're making. The real thing is, once again, I'll agree with whatever names people want to attach. I don't get in semantics. We can call ourselves whatever we want to. You can believe whatever you want to. Okay, I agree with you. Now that we agree, what are we going to do about this white supremacist situation? Now that we agree about whatever it is you want to.
Brothers and sisters, you just heard me sit here. I was trying to be nice. I said, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you over this. I will agree on that. Now tell me, what are we going to do now that you and I have found common ground? What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do? That was the question. What are we going to do about this? So I'm going to roll this back so you all can hear it here, as this individual is going to provide us his infinite wisdom to be able to answer that question.
Okay, I agree with you. Now that we agree, what are we going to do about this white supremacist situation? Now that we agree about whatever it is you want to label ourselves, now that we agree on that, what are we going to do about the white supremacists?
We're going to educate the African American to let the African American
after
know
we're
that
finished doing that,
if you give the African American the right information,
okay, but after that,
the African American wouldn't be concerned about a race war.
Right, but following that, once we get done, quote, educating, tell me the exact action we're going to take with the white supremacists now that everybody's educated.
You use the information to educate the African American as well as the white supremacists. If these two persons really knew that the Edomites and the Judites are always going to be fighting, it would be a difference. But the problem that we have with the African American is that the African American doesn't realize that he's a Judite.
Yeah, I'm trying to compose myself. This guy literally just said that the problem is that black people do not understand that we are Judites and that Caucasians are Edomites. That is literally what he just said. Let me back this up so you can hear it again. And I feel sorry that I had to sit there and listen to this, and I very much feel sorry that you all had to hear it as well. But can you imagine growing up in his family with this type of, they are so beaten down and broken and defeated in his family that they have retreated like cowards behind this religious fanaticism? That if I can just learn my own version of religious fanaticism well enough, that is what will protect me. That's what they're telling themselves. I'm going to play this again.
Action we're going to take with the white supremacists now that everybody's educated.
You use the information to educate the African American as well as the white supremacists. If these two persons really knew that the Edomites and the Judites are always going to be fighting, it would be a difference. But the problem that we have with the African American is that the African American doesn't realize that he's a Judite, and he also does not realize that the white supremacist is of another race.
Yeah, you see what usually happens with us is when we start talking about physical things, we start talking about tangible realities, people want to break down into intangible philosophies and things that we can't touch. I directly asked him, what are we going to do? And he just keeps saying, educate.
All right, David, let me thank him for his call. And let me apologize for some of these calls because we usually have a better job of callers than that.
Oh, Carl Nelson had to apologize. He's like, man, I don't know what's going on this phone line. Usually it's not so schizophrenic. This guy literally sat here and said, if black folk would only understand that we are Jews. Now, by the way, when you used to call into radio programs, black folk didn't used to speak like this. So what this tells you is that we're watching a degradation in our intellectual ability to combat this kind of thing. We're actually watching a degradation. 20 years ago on Carl Nelson's program and whatnot, you didn't have these whacked out, spaced out, tinfoil Negroes running around saying this type of nonsense. Now you've got them all over the place. Why? Because in 20 years, they are more defeated today than they were 20 years ago, which is why I'm telling you we're at the most dangerous period of history. They are more defeated today. They haven't let go of their religious fanaticism. They've created new strains and new species of it in order to try to soothe themselves and appease themselves and comfort themselves psychologically. They're not releasing their intellectual problems. They're holding on to more of it. They're holding on to more of it is what they're doing. So you're watching a degradation of this happening in real time. As time has gone on, they're getting worse. These guys aren't trying to get more grounded in reality, they're trying to get less. No, it's not mental illness, it's called cowardice. They are afraid. Go into his family and ask anybody in his family when was the last time they had a win of any kind on any level, a physical, tangible win against white supremacy, a manager that you were able to get past, a DA who couldn't convict you, a landlord who couldn't evict you. Show me one win that you have over white supremacy, a test that you took in school where you scored more than the white kids. Show me a single victory that you've ever been able to lead yourself to over them. And his answer will be a sterling no. Never had a one. And rather than doing the serious intellectual work necessary to actually get a win, they instead are resorting to this. It is not mental illness, it is cowardice. Religious fanaticism can actually be a good thing. What'd you say, Jason? Religious fanaticism can be a good thing. What the hell are you talking about? It helped the Europeans. When they looked at the Bible, they cherry-picked the parts that reinforced what they wanted to do. So they cherry-picked the chapters that said that they would be able to conquer people. Manifest Destiny is a religious reference. Manifest Destiny is a religious reference. So the white man took a look at the Bible and pulled power from it. Black people take a look at the Bible and pull humility, submission, and cowardice from it. That's what they do with it. So this has nothing to do with the religion. Remember, I've always taught you all that people are going to pry from a religion that which they already feel, that which they already believe. They want their religion to simply reinforce what they already are. And in this dire hour of need, where we need to have real, competent, intelligent, black intellectual leadership in the real world, this guy has retreated from it. He has absolutely retreated from it. And his words were, well, if you can teach black folk and teach the white supremacists.
This is one of the issues that Dr. Claude Anderson says. The
Premise is of another race.
Yeah, you see, what usually happens with us is when we start talking about this white supremacist situation, now that we agree about whatever it is you want to label ourselves, now that we agree on that, what are we going to do about the white supremacists?
We're going to educate the African American to let the African American
after
know
we're
that
finished doing that,
if you give the African American the right information,
okay, but after that,
the African American wouldn't be concerned about a race war.
Right, but following that, once we get done, quote, educating, tell me the exact action we're going to take with the white supremacists now that everybody's educated.
You use the information to educate the African American as well as the white supremacists. If these two persons really knew that the Edomites and the Judites are always going to be fighting, it would be a difference. But
this guy literally just sat here and said that we need to educate black people and we need to go on an education campaign with the white supremacists. You all just heard him say it. We need to educate black folk and the white supremacists. Brothers and sisters, if this guy was alone with Chris Cantwell and his ilk talking about he's going to combat their white supremacists by giving them a new sermon of his new religion, he's going to get broken in half. But you know it's never going to get that far. And the reason that it's never going to get that far is because what he's saying, he would never say it to them. It is strictly for the consumption of black people because he knows he won't be listened to by anybody else. That was a good part of the interview that we did with Carl Nelson today. I'm going to go ahead and open up the telephone lines. The number is 646-787-1933. That is 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. You are, of course, welcome to join us on the telephone lines. Let me get caller from 901. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, Jason, this is Gabriel from Memphis. How you doing?
Gabriel from Memphis, what's on your mind, brother?
Nothing much, man. I listened to the broadcast earlier, and my God, I don't know if the Hebrew Israelite at the end was the worst or Mr. DNA. And it seems like, I've been following you for a while now, and it seems like every time you get ready to release a movie, the morons come out. I checked the moon cycles. There's no full moon or anything out, but I just said, well, I guess it's just time for Race War to drop, and the morons are here just coming out. Even in the chat room, I'm looking at some of the comments in the chat room, and these people are all over just being contrary to what we need to do.
Well, that's because there are no consequences. You have to understand, in black society, there are no consequences for being wrong, for talking stupid, for talking like a fool, for speaking against the group. There are no consequences for us, particularly where black men are concerned. We're supposed to be the leaders, but there's no consequences for misleadership. There are none. Now, in other societies, there are consequences if you are inept. There are consequences if you are incompetent. There are consequences if you are a coward. You will not get sexual access. You will not get camaraderie. You will not get companionship. You will not get economic resources. You damn sure won't be given leadership. That's what will happen in other groups. In black society, talking stupid, there are no consequences. So since there are no consequences and nobody's helping us to do anything else, Negroes just sit around talking foolish all day about a bunch of stuff that has no action following it, or if they are proposing action, it's a bunch of things that they A, aren't doing, and B, would never do. That's the whole point of it.
Absolutely. And as me being a young man, it's a lot of things I didn't know until I started listening to you and Tariq. Again, I've been following you for so long, and we wonder why as young men, why we're in the positions that we're in, and it makes me so upset. That's why, I don't have, money to start a business. I have to get that out the mud, or I don't have any direction on where to go to get certain resources. That's why I'm really in college debt. So on and so forth, because all of the older men that are supposed to be giving us game aren't giving us game. They're telling us all this BS, and it doesn't benefit us at all, especially in this type of society. I have white associates, Hispanic associates, Asian associates that were gamed up at 17 and 18 years old. My father didn't give me this kind of game. I had to go out here and figure it out myself and find it on my own. So we already as a group have a 500-year we're already behind 500 years. So when I get out here, I'm already behind my peers 10, 15 years, and I got to try and figure it out. And you wonder, well, why is this so difficult? And then you start listening to these calls, and you're like, oh, that's why I'm so far behind, because these dudes weren't interested in anything productive. As you always say, they were interested in white draws and a job at the plant, and that's it.
That's why I want to start a new type of program that will deal with these things more in depth, because I said it years ago, and when I said it, I was vilified for it, but the older generation has completely failed. There are no mentors. There are no leaders. There are no role models. You're trying to fight white supremacy, and there's nobody who can be a role model for you for that. Nobody. Not
Absolutely.
On a wide scale, so I think I need to do more about that.
Right. Because, see, even when I wanted to start my car business, I thank you for that. I couldn't go anywhere else and get that game. You put up a post years ago listing how to get a dealer's license. I followed that and was able to get my dealer's license. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be a licensed car dealer. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just not enough men out here putting us on game. They can tell us how to get draws all day, but things that matter, things that are going to affect our life and affect our community, we can't get that from anywhere else.
Well, the biggest sin that we could commit is by not implanting the game now. Since if we got the game, we got to start giving the game is what we got to do. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do give us a call again. Let me get caller from 318. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Black Channel, this is Jim from LA.
Okay, what was your name again?
Jim from LA.
Hello, Jim from
Los
LA.
Angeles.
Okay, Jim, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm calling in today just to kind of touch base on some of what you've already touched on, but to segue into how we don't have any friends. And here in Los Angeles, I think the black population is learning that the hard way, to include myself. I'm a homeowner here in Los Angeles in one of what I consider to be one of the last black neighborhoods here. And it's slowly but surely, I've been here 5 years. I purchased in 2013, and I'm slowly watching the neighborhood turn Latino. And I don't just mean in property ownership, I also mean in businesses. You know, their declaration of war is very clear. And in addition to that, they've not only taken over the businesses here, but institutional staples in the black community like barbershops, the mom and pop soul food restaurants, the chicken spots. Those are Hispanic owned and operated. And we're slowly but surely being not only just pushed out, but these folks are creating different microaggressions even amongst the neighbors. There is a gentleman that stays across from me. He's a Mexican gentleman, and he does, I guess he flips cars. So he buys vehicles from the auction. I was in the process of selling my home, and what he would do is park these large trucks in front of my home to obstruct the view. So I wasn't getting as much traction and attention, you know, just from street traffic. And what I began to do to counter that was to call the city and say, hey, this guy has an abandoned vehicle here, and so on and so forth. I have a neighbor next to me, Salvadorian, actually on both sides, Salvadorian. They create fencing issues, you know, and
well, definitely in California, as a group, black people in California are surrounded. This is why I need everybody. Do you have your tickets to see Race War?
I do not, unfortunately.
Okay, well, here's what you need to do. You need to hang up the phone with me right now and go get your tickets to come see us, because if the only person out there who is knowing what your situation is, the only person that you can network with is yourself, you're a sitting duck. Get off. What you need to do now is get mobile about it. You need to come and join us. As a matter of fact, bring some other folk. Don't even ask their permission. Say, Negro, you coming with me on October 20th, because otherwise, if you're not going to do that, then just get the hell up and leave California and just surrender now, because you're playing a game that you can't win. You can complain about it, but you ultimately can't win it, and you're just wasting a bunch of resources when you can move to another place and keep your money and just sink more slowly over there. So October 20th, I'll be looking for you. RaceWarMovie.com. Get your tickets now. Let me get caller from, well, I have a feeling I know who this is. Is this LMNOP?
Hello, Mr. Black?
Yes.
Yes, this is LMNOP calling you from Hong Kong, sir.
Yes, I was saying this before. Whatever voice protocol you're using is not showing your number, because there's no cell phone on earth that's going to make a call like that. But whether you're using Google or whatever,
I don't know.
Be aware it's not showing your number. That's I really can't go in circles about it. It's not showing your number. Not sure what you're doing different.
I don't know. I think it's like I'm using like a prepaid cell phone, like SIM card.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's going to show up.
You're using some type of service, which is what I've been saying the whole time. You are not picking up your phone and dialing. You're using a service. And the service is just routing the call. It is not bringing your number with it. It is simply using the service. And that's all. Now that we got that,
I apologize. I don't know.
Now that we have that sorted out, time is at a premium. Just be aware in the future. Don't think that that's showing your phone number, because it's actually not. Now that we got you here, what's on your mind?
Okay. Oh yes. I just heard your interview on the Carl Nelson show, and I was just perplexed at the callers who were calling you. Like, these black guys that were calling you, I'm thinking that they were like, gonna up your movie, but they're just they're just saying, like, like you were saying, like they're cowards. And I'm like, Nelly Fuller, how he's like, Nelly Fuller says that you shouldn't talk to anybody or you shouldn't associate with anybody unless you have a constructive reason for doing so. So I don't talk to people that much. So when I hear other black people, I usually listen to you, Tariq, like I'm listening to pro-black people. So when I hear people like that, it's kind of like shocking to me now.
Well, you got to understand, brother, and I track this all the way back to slavery, but not the way that most people do. Every other group of people who came to America came here with a purpose, with an agenda. Every other group except us. We are the only people who did not come here with an agenda. We came here as an agenda, but we didn't come here with one. We were the agenda, but we didn't come here with one. And what happened is after slavery, and this is something that black people are going to have to understand, recognize, acknowledge, and then prepare to deal with. When we were released from slavery, at least chattel slavery, when we walked off those plantations, we walked off without an agenda. We were just shoved out here. We never gained one. You see, when white people came to America, what did they have? They had the Constitutional Convention. Constitutional Convention is just another way of saying we are here to announce and declare our purpose for being here. That's why your preamble starts with "We the people." It is saying this is why we're here. This is our purpose. For Asians, Latinos, if you ask them why they came here, they can tell you their intrinsic purpose for coming. We're the only people who didn't have one. And when we were released from slavery, what should have happened? What should have happened when we were released from slavery is there should have been a gathering of us first, where we said, this is our reason for being here. We didn't ask to come here, but we got to deal with it now. So this is what we're gonna do as a group, as a people. When Italians came over here, they had an agenda. When the Irish came here, they had an agenda. The Arabs, the Asians, everybody, Indians, they all had an agenda. We didn't have one. And to complicate matters worse, when we walked off the plantations, we walked off with every buck-dancing, Sambo, bedwench, sellout, Uncle Tom, dancing, stepping, fetching idiot that you could possibly imagine, carrying all of their treasonous, backstabbing, betraying ways with them. At no time, we did not have a Haitian Revolution moment where we dealt with them. And this is why this society loves that, because they know they leave the cancer in place. In South Africa, they had their Truth Commission, which was anything but. You got people to say what they did wrong, but you never punished them. The reason why Jews are able to operate freely today was because of Nuremberg. Nuremberg wasn't a truth commission. Nuremberg was an investigation and punishment commission. We didn't have an investigation and punishment commission here in America because, let me be very clear about this, if you were a Negro who snitched on Nat Turner, who snitched on Denmark Vesey, who snitched on every other slave revolt, you are a war criminal. And by them hiding that, we have never been able to go and track down our war criminals. We've never been able to document them. So we walked off the plantation with our war criminals, and the war criminals carried their war criminal traitorous ideology intact into the rest of society. And we see their children today. We see them in Earl Woods, who passed it on to his son Tiger Woods. We see it in Skip Gates. We see it in Clarence Thomas. There's not just one person. You show me a coon, I'll show you a family of them.
I know that's right. Mr. Jason, speaking of that, Jesse Lee Peterson, I'm seeing that his following is growing and growing and growing. And I'm creating a website that gives you guys exposure, because it's like I'm seeing like an unequal balance. Like these coons, they're
It's not an
getting so
unequal
much
balance.
exposure, but
No, it's not.
you guys like
It
Tariq
is
and
no.
stuff. It's like,
It is
huh?
not. No, it is not an unequal balance. Understand something. First of
Okay.
all, when they get into tens of millions, let me know then. All you're seeing is a leveling of the water. Jesse Lee Peterson is one of the most unbelievably abrasive individuals for me to listen to. I can't listen to it because he's so slow and remedial. There's just no way in the world I can make it through a program with him. So who's listening to this guy? Well, it's the Richard Spencer types. Well, actually not even Richard Spencer, because they know he's just a tool. It is the individuals who want to believe he's basically a form of science fiction. Jesse Lee Peterson is science fiction for white supremacists. You know that that's not really what black people believe, but you got one guy who's saying it, so you get to fantasize that, yeah, that's really what they believe. Remember, I've told you all this before. I've talked to these white supremacists. They actually do believe. In their heart of hearts, they believe that black people want to be oppressed and that black people would be happier being oppressed, that everybody really wants to be oppressed by white society. They really do believe that. So what they do is they get things that reinforce the fiction that they've fed themselves. So Jesse is a part of reinforcing that. There is only one thing that we need to be or two things that we need to be totally honest. We don't need to be worried about what Jesse Lee Peterson's numbers are. Yes, you want to make sure, you want to know he's out there, you want to know what he's saying. Yeah, you want to know that. We need to focus on making ourselves as strong as we possibly can be. Not on keeping the focus on him. You want to keep tabs on him, but we're not going to make him weaker, brother. We're only 13% of the population in a nation where everybody else is against us. That's not going to help us. What will help us is if we decide to increase and improve ourselves. And we're going to have to be consistent. It can't just be one film here, whatever. We have to be consistent. We have to keep doing these things and stay consistent about it, because those guys are consistent, because even though they're the majority of the population, they understand how quickly they could lose it. They know that what they've got is a result of white privilege, and they know it could disappear at any second. So they are eternally vigilant in maintaining and preserving it. We've got to take a look at ourselves and say, what do we got to do to make this team as strong as it can be? Not trying to weaken another team, because that's not really going to work. Don't keep a tab on them, yes, but don't become obsessed or focused on them to that point. The only question is, what do we need to do to increase our power, wealth, and influence? And if that's not doing it, that's going to be a problem. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do call us again. Let me get caller from 228. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, brother, how's it going?
What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Daniel Boykin from Denver, Colorado.
Daniel from Denver, what's on your mind? This sounds very familiar, by the way.
Hey, man. Yeah, I actually just called you yesterday. My phone had a really bad signal.
Okay, sounds better.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, like I was saying yesterday, first and foremost, I'm the founder of Ogun Gun Club here in Denver, Colorado. Basically, what we do is we get together. We basically our focus is to help Black people get them armed, educated, and trained in self-defense. We want to basically change the minds, or at least help change the minds when it comes to Black gun ownership and basic defense against, say, white supremacists or everyday crime. And I feel like that would ultimately help create a newer Black gun culture. Another thing we do is also focus on competition, which we're just recently began to start taking more seriously. We want to get that experience to start be able, to help us structure our own competitions later on amongst ourselves. Now, I want to ask, what advice would you give us to reach even more Black people in the Denver metro area to get them more interested in, coming this way and doing this type of thing with us?
I don't know. Hire more white women in bikinis. Based on what I've seen, in Colorado, and that's just California East in a lot of ways. The interracialist mindset is just part of the culture there. So, I mean, you're doing God's work in a lot of ways. I can't really tell you a whole lot about that there's not very much to be optimistic about in that area. Once they legalized weed, it was over. I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, you know
Right.
it. You know it. Once they legalized weed, brother, it was over.
Oh no, you're definitely right about that. Everybody's all docile and just hanging around and just on some bullshit. Yeah, and like me personally, I'm actually from Mississippi. I just moved here a little bit under 2 years ago, and so when I got here, this shit was a major culture shock to me. Like how lackadaisical the black community is out here and shit, and like how fucking can I curse on here?
Yeah, all the real black folk come from the South. Let's just say it like it is. I mean, New York got the game from the South. California's got the game from the South. All the real black folk who are on top of it come from the South, because the folks who come from everywhere else, they come from up north. Everybody is trying so quickly to try to bury their blackness and just get over it, and they don't care what depths they have to sink to bury it. So in the South, they don't let you forget what you are. So we're the only ones who really go to other places and stand up for it. Everybody else is on some bull jive trying to figure out how they can get some honorary stepbrother, stepchild status. So in the case of Colorado, brother, I can't give you, I can't give you anything good about it. I can't name a single good thing about it. It's in California, because of its sheer size, I would be more inclined to, if I had to choose between the two, simply because of its sheer size. But Colorado has never been a friendly place for black people. Damn sure never been a friendly place for intelligent black people or black-minded black people. Never been a place for that. So I can't give you anything optimistic out of Colorado. Except it's a great place to hang out. It's a great place to hang out. It's a great place to vacation if you don't mind the thin oxygen. If you like snow 6 months out of the year, you found your place. Other than that, like I say, other than that, man, just make your money out of it. But as far as bringing folk there or gathering black folk there, you're not going to have you're going to get some people, but you're not going to have a huge, large number. And when the government came in and said, hey, these fellas don't really want to fight nothing, get them narcosized. And now they legalized weed out there, so now they don't have to hide their weed anymore. There you go, man. I mean, that's a wrap.
Right. No, I definitely agree on that. And I also feel like a lot of black people out here aren't as strong-minded and as willing to fight white supremacy, I guess, because I feel like out here it's a lot more hidden. Black people out here feel like it's not really here. Because it's not like open and out in your fucking face like it is down in Mississippi where I come from, and so they don't feel like they have anything to organize or fight against. And so that's another thing that I think that that is the reason that they're so just chilled and laid back up here and not really on their shit.
There's a difference between laid back and
also,
narcissized.
If you're in the Denver metro area, give us a call if you're looking to join a black gun club, because there's only a few of us out here. You can go on, find us on any social media at Ogun Gun.
Okay. If you would like to advertise, we'll need to talk about that separately, because I'm not familiar with your group. I'm not familiar with what you all do. That's all very nice and everything. I'm not familiar with it. But what as far as doing that, certainly if you want to have people join you, good luck on that, man. That's the most I can tell you about that. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from 562. You're on live with the Black Channel.
TBA, this is Damian Jones calling from out of California.
Okay, Damian out of California. Is that your name?
Yes, Damian Jones, calling from California. Actually, Long Beach, California.
All right, and what's on your mind, brother?
TBA, I want to ask you a question. By the way, I did purchase your ticket for Race War out in L.A., so I will be there October the 20th, and I am bringing along with me about 20 different talented Long Beach students from the Black Student Union with me to this event, so I will be there presently.
Good. Question. Just out of curiosity, just out of curiosity, when did you buy your tickets?
I purchased my ticket, I think about a week and a half ago. I purchased my ticket.
You purchased 20. You purchased 20 tickets a week and a half ago.
It roughly around that time.
I think I would have noticed if somebody had bought 20 tickets. I think I would have noticed that.
Yeah, I have the receipt here on my email account on my phone. So yeah, I did purchase a ticket.
Okay,
so,
well, if I see 20 of them, I'll have to go back and check over that because I'm pretty sure I would have recognized 20 ticket sales if that had occurred. You might have gotten one. I'm not sure. You might want to go back and go check on your other 20 though. But if we do have that Wakanda, because Negroes were loading up tour buses for schools, that we need the children to go see this fantasy comic book character. But when we're talking about, by the way, your children are getting gunned down in the real world, nobody is loading up the tour bus and saying, hey, I'm going to make that a point for the kids to show up for that. So I mean, if we're going to have a Wakanda moment, I damn sure would like to be on top of that. Because we certainly did have it for Disney's white-owned fictional characters. Black folk thought that was worth moving the world for, and we gotta show up. We gotta be there. But when it comes to black folk and survival, we ain't gotta show up and be there for that. So definitely load up the Greyhound, bring all the kids, bring the family, load up the dog. We want to see you there in Los Angeles.
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, we're definitely going to be there. We're actually, we're rolling there. My question to you, TBA, is that you had mentioned about the caller that was talking this nonsense about. He was talking this nonsense about, in order for us to defeat white supremacy, that we have to go and. I didn't hear much what he said, but he talked about that we had to teach about religion, some stupid stuff you hear was talking about. And then you had made a comment to the chat room about that it's not a mental illness. Well, my question to you is that people that talk like that and all your coons and your bed wenches and all these bed bugs out here, the way they act and the way that brother was talking to you on the phone, which was, like I said, was stupid, don't you think that arises from mental illness? And now, before you answer that question, the reason why I asked the question is because there's a lot of bed wenching and coons out here in California. But a lot of these cats that I know that are cooning and are bedwetching, a lot of them have been molested or raped as a child, and they never gotten any counseling for that. And so they have these black man-hating issues or black people-hating issues. And so don't you think that comes from mental illness, that stupid-ass talk of, we gotta do religion in order to defeat white supremacy? Don't you think that comes from mental illness? Is my question.
No. And the reason why is because even if you conceded that there was a mental component that was promoting their particular strains of behavior, just because mental illness is a mental disposition, fear is an emotion. Just because a person may be mentally ill, that doesn't mean he's not also a coward. So even if we concede, they're mentally ill, yeah, but that doesn't remove the fact that he's also a coward. Because I can show you plenty of special ed kids who are not cowards.
So a coward can a cowardice come from the mental illness though? The fear of someone that's
mental illness. Mental illness makes you irrational. When a person asks you a rational sentence, mental illness will make you irrational. Mental illness will not make you a coward. He should be standing up to something. And if the only thing he stands up to is black folk, well, that's not mental illness. That's cowardice. That's cowardice. He has no problem confronting black people. Why isn't he over there? If he really does believe that the issue is to educate the white supremacists, why in the holy damn hell is he not over there with his big book of religious babble talking to the white supremacists? Why is he over here talking to us? Why didn't he start over there? He didn't start over there because it's not mental illness, it's cowardice. He knows they're not going to give him the time of day. He just wants to be heard, and he knows what he's supposed to be doing, but he's too damn cowardly to do it. So in order to assuage his guilt, he's coming and telling black folk, while he's talking about we need to talk to white supremacists too. Okay, why are you not talking to them? And at no time does he do that.
Wow.
So we don't want to be confused about that. Just because a person may be mentally ill, that doesn't make them a coward. Just because a person's mentally ill, that doesn't make them violent. Just because a person is mentally ill, that doesn't make them supercilious. Just because you're mentally ill, that does not mean that you start. A person's mentally ill, if they have a pattern behavior of consistently backing down from white supremacy, that's not mental illness anymore. Yeah, he might be mentally ill, but he's a coward too. This idea that once you're declared mentally ill, that absolves you of all guilt in all things. No, that's something we tell ourselves so that we don't have to deal with the reality. Yeah, you're mentally ill. You're also a mentally ill coward.
Wow. TBA, I really appreciate your information and breaking it down. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to, and the rest of us from Cal State Long Beach are also looking forward to being at the event on the 20th. TBA, I want to say one last thing to you before I get going to work. When you came out here, I think it was last November in 2017. You literally were on point, and I'm a California native. I was born and raised out here. And let me tell you, brother, you were absolutely on point the way you broke down everything about Compton, El Segundo, everything. You were on point. I have never heard of anybody break down that so much of that stuff in detail, and you're not even from here. You're from Louisiana. So I just want to let you know that everything you said was accurate. B1, Black First.
Black First, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I consider myself to be a person on a mission, and I have to learn the condition of my people wherever they are. So when I talk about how Rosecrans runs from Compton all the way to the ocean, and when you get to El Segundo, these aren't places I talked about. These are places I walked the streets of. I walked down that big-ass hill where the oyster restaurant is, that big-ass steep hill that goes all the way downhill to the ocean there where Manhattan Beach is. I walked it. I've been in the sand. I watched the folks out there. I seen the condition of my people, and I was like, I see what you're up against. For the folk who are serious, you don't have a people out here. But yeah, I'm not a person who's speaking from what he thinks or what he guesses or what he feels. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know about California. Caller from 228, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, brother. Yeah, also, so that wasn't the only thing I was calling about the first time. And again, this is Daniel out here in Denver, Colorado.
Daniel.
So,
Daniel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Reader's Digest version.
Got it. So anyway, I just turned 26 years old. I'm a beginner real estate investor. Full time, I do pest control technician. And so what I'm doing, I want to. So I started off real estate investing about probably 6 months ago.
Daniel.
Yeah.
You are going to have to learn the virtues of brevity, sir. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to get some advice on.
Okay, then
how
don't give me any background information. No background. Just ask the question.
Okay.
Just ask the question.
Got it. So I really wanted to know how black people could get more involved in real estate investing so that they can be able to have some control within their own communities and be able to ultimately create or build communities for black people.
Okay, Daniel, you already asked your question. This is the problem that we have as males. We start talking and then we just want to be heard because we're not used to having an audience because people ignore us. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some tough, I don't want to call it love, I'm just going to give you some toughness. Daniel, how old are you again?
Just turned 26.
Okay, you're 26 years old. You started off this phone call by saying, I've been investing in real estate in Denver. That was what you said.
Okay.
Okay. Is that not correct? Because you said it yesterday, and then you said it earlier today, and now you're back again saying it again. So that's 3 phone calls, 3 times. You said it each time. Is that not what you said?
That's correct.
Now, do you know, you said all of that, and then your next question was, how can we get black people to invest in real estate more? So you told me that you are a real estate investor, and then you're asking, how can we get black people to invest in real estate? One of these statements is contradicting the other.
Well, I wasn't done talking yet, so I was gonna kind of like get to that point.
Daniel, when a person knows something, they don't need 20 minutes of setup. They would just go straight to the point. And there's no amount of details that you want to add that will refute what I just asked you. Daniel, if you are already a real estate investor, why are you asking how we can get more black folk to invest in real estate if you are already doing it?
Well, I'm a beginner, so I'm still learning as I go.
Okay, I got that part. You already said that.
And
you already said
so,
that.
yeah, so like
Daniel,
you know
already
quite a lot
said
of
that.
stuff, and I wanted to get some information
Right.
from you.
Daniel, okay, here's the problem. Neely Fuller said it very best. You cannot claim something as a profession if you don't actually practice it. How many properties have you purchased?
I haven't purchased any properties. What I'm doing right now,
Daniel,
at the beginner level, it's
Daniel,
called wholesaling.
Daniel, I asked you how many properties did you purchase, and your answer was none. Well, what I'm doing is something called wholesaling.
So I've had 2 properties under contract, and what wholesaling is where you actually get a property under contract for a certain price, and then you sell that contract to a cash buyer, and that's basically the base of where your finances will come from.
Daniel, do you think that I do not know what wholesaling is?
No, I'm sure you do. I was just saying that for people who wouldn't know.
Okay. Daniel, how long have you been wholesaling properties?
About 6 months.
About 6 months. Okay. Daniel's got high ambitions. You've been wholesaling properties for 6 months. Why is it that you're continuing to do it?
Because I know it can be done, and I know it can create the financial freedom that I definitely need, and that I want other black people to have. And so I want to be able to ultimately be able to teach others, other black people, how to do the same thing and be able to have that sort of financial freedom.
Okay.
And to also be able to have control over real estate.
Right, and that's the issue that I'm referring to there. So what I'm saying is for the last 6 months, you have been testing the waters of real estate wholesaling. That's very nice.
Correct.
Here's what you really need to do, Daniel. When you get about 30 or 40 of those types of deals done, then that will answer all of your questions for you. You won't have to ask how you can get other people interested. You get about 30 or 40 of those under your belt, and technically speaking, you should be doing about 3 or 4 a month already. If you are not, you still got some maturing to do as far as maturing that. I would not call myself a real estate investor at this point if you still got these kind of questions. The reason that you don't want to do that, Daniel, is because it's like saying you're a truck driver And then when I ask you, okay, where's your truck? Oh, well, I mean, I really just clean the tires on trucks. Because that was really what just happened. If you are not actually buying and selling and deeding properties, then you're not a real estate investor. You might be working with real estate, but it's not a real estate investor. Now, what you're referring to is contracting and whatnot. That's okay if you can find the properties to do that with, but that's really a niche product. A lot of folk running around talking about that kind of thing, but in reality, it's a niche product. You're in a good market for it in Denver. Denver's always been a red hot real estate market, and it's good work if you can find it. But what you're doing is not really something that the average individual will be able to do. There are not enough sellers out there willing to enter into the type of agreement that they are with you to be able to make that viable. There are not enough of them. Most of them are going to want to talk to somebody who's going to give them a check. And that's not what you do. That's not what your arrangement does. It is a niche product. I'm not going to tell you to stop doing it. If you're making money at it, great. What you need to do is get about 30 or 40 more under your belt. And once you've completely mastered this, then you won't have to ask how to get other people interested. You'll already know, and you'll be beating them off with a stick. The reason that you're asking the question is because there's not enough experience behind you yet. So invest the time into completely mastering this, where you're doing 4 or 5 deals a month with your eyes closed. You get to that point, and then you won't have to ask. You'll have people coming to find you.
Right.
Now, so far, in the last 6 months, how many deals have we done?
The past 6 months, I've done 2 deals.
Okay.
And it was a lesson learned because on one I didn't do my due diligence enough,
That's
and
okay.
I ended up missing a $26,000 assignment fee.
And that's okay.
And so
You
that
make
right
all
there
your
would've been
mistakes.
my introduction.
Make your mistakes early. Make your mistakes young so you can recover from them. In the meantime, you'll be ready to deal with this issue when you get you're 26 years old, you're young, but if you're really serious in what you're saying, you need to get about 30 or 40 more under your belt. When you get to that point, everything else is going to fall into place. The reason that you're asking questions is because you've only done 2 deals in 6 months. That's one deal every night.
Right.
That's one deal every 90 days. That's really not going to be enough to give you any experience, and you're not really going to be able to help anybody else because you don't have enough experience at it. Like I say, you're in a good market for real estate, certainly. When you get 30 or 40 more under your belt, check back with me then, and then we'll chop it up then.
Right. And so the reason for that spread was because once I actually lost that deal and realized my mistakes and whatnot, I honestly got discouraged, and so that's why it's been so long. And I know that had I kept going at it and not got discouraged and stayed in the game like I was supposed to and should have, I'd definitely be averaging about three deals per month. And
Okay.
so
Daniel,
yeah, go ahead.
when did you do your last deal?
Literally around that 6 month, beginning of that 6 months, I started learning about it, and literally probably about a month and a half later, I had a property under contract.
Okay, Daniel, I asked you, when did you do your last deal?
Oh, my last deal, that was 6 months ago.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You said the last deal that you did was 6 months ago, and the deal before that was
Right.
6 months previous, correct?
No, the deal before the last deal was actually probably about
Because you just said there were 6 months
maybe a
in
few
between.
weeks before.
You just said there were 6 months in between deals, Daniel. You just said that.
No. I'm sorry. No, you didn't understand that. My bad.
I didn't
So,
understand. No, I understood
it's been
perfectly. You said there were 6 months in between deals.
It's been 6 months since I started. Literally, when I first started, I had just learned about wholesaling, and then I instantly got a property under contract. And so at this point right now, I'm just looking. Go
Daniel,
ahead.
you are desperate for attention, And that's a bad, bad trait for a male to have. You're very desperate for attention, and that's a bad, bad trait. Nobody's going to do business with somebody who's full of bull crap. Daniel, how many months ago did you do your first deal?
That was about 6 months ago. Probably maybe 7.
And how many months ago did you do your last deal?
Last deal was 6 months ago.
Okay, so right now we're talking about March or April.
Correct.
Okay, and you haven't touched anything since then?
No, I actually just started getting back in the game.
Okay, so Daniel, thank you very much for being interested enough to contact us here. You need to get some wins under your belt. I am not convinced at all about what's going on, and what you are doing is going to be very destructive to what you're trying to do, because you are trying to bluff your way through life, and a person who has to spend real money is not going to spend any amount of time doing this. I've given you much more time than a banker is ever going to give you. You're going to walk into a place with somebody who's got the ability to do real deals, whether they got hard money or not, and you're going to do what you just did with me, and that's going to be the end of that. Now, I'm going to make a very, very stern suggestion. My advice to you is what I've been telling you, Daniel. What have I been telling you?
Right, get more wins under my belt and stop bullshitting.
And I gave you a specific number, did I not?
Yeah, 30 to 40.
Okay, so Daniel, now you know what you need to do. Stop trying to bull crap your way to being a real estate investor, and stop bull jiving about being one, and actually do the damn work and become one. Stop being this damn fraud. You're not a real estate investor. You want to be, but you are refusing to do what is necessary. And I don't think that what you've chosen.
I'm a real estate investor because I'm actively doing it, and I'm actively looking for properties every day.
You haven't picked up a property in 6 months.
Now, I definitely agree that I might be bullshitting.
Daniel,
because I got discouraged and whatnot.
Daniel, son, we're not here to argue with you over this. I'm not your mom and your dad. I'm not here to debate it or argue it with you. I'm not here to debate a thing with you.
Neither am I.
I'm here to just tell you, and that's it. Now, you can take it, you cannot. You can take it, you cannot take it. Whatever you want to go do, but you've been told what to do. Now, go do it or don't do it.
Definitely, I appreciate it. Thanks for the advice. Love what you're doing. Support you fully.
Okay, brothers and sisters. Brothers in particular, I want to talk to the black men. You know what? No, we ain't going to do this like this. I'm going to come back to that in a little bit. There was something I wanted to say. I'm going to come back to that in a little bit. Caller from 236, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Brother Black.
What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, he's out to lunch. Caller from 857, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello, Jason Black.
What's your name? Where you calling from?
How you doing, Jason? My name is James from Boston.
James from Boston, what's on your mind?
Jason, how's it going, brother? First of all, I just want to give a shout out to you, man, for all the great work that you have done. Long-time listener, big-time follower. First of all, I'd just like to say one thing. I listened to the interview that you had with Carl Nelson earlier, and it was sad, man. Like, you know, me being a millennial and just listening to a lot of, like, the older cats, and it was just like, I felt kind of ashamed because off the strength, it felt like everything was a deflection, and then they, you know, they want to say the youth is this, the youth is that. And what I would like to say is at least the youth is about direct action, and we're trying to wake up and realize that a lot of them old timers, man, they'll roll over. They'll really roll over if, you know, if things got really bad. And again, I like to, you know, again, speak as a black male that, you know, it's a shame that me listening to them go against you, it was I can't even co-sign it.
Well, it's necessary to do this, and the reason why I do it is because this is what's actually in the society. This is actually what's out there, brother. This is actually what we're dealing with. These fallacies, this foolishness, the idiocy. Let's just be totally honest about this. Black society would not be in the condition and the state that it's in right now if what you heard on the phone on Carl Nelson and today was not the reality. If that was not the reality, if those Negroes talking with this religious fanaticism and hiding under rocks, brother, that's why we are so easily knocked off. This is why every other ethnic group has a business in our communities except us. This is the reality. Mr. Judites and Edomites, that is black society. Let's stop bull jiving ourselves. That is black society. Mr. DNA, that is black society. And we need to man up and just take it on just like it is. That is it. That is black society in a nutshell. That's what we're up against. That is our society.
It's sad, man. I just felt like, a lot of them old timers and the way they were just coming at you, I was like, damn, none of you, man, can take that in the chin. And, and they preach to us like, oh, you guys need to do this and do that. But when it comes down to these white supremacists, they all roll over. Ain't nobody about no action. And, again, I thank you for your work. I'm definitely a follower. And, I try to strive to be the best I can be, just through your mode, through your practices and what you're trying to put out there.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Please do give us a call again. The biggest problem that we have in black society is that we're not willing to admit just how bad the situation really is. We're not really willing to admit just how far gone we really are. We're not willing to accept that. We're not willing to face that. And because we are unwilling to do so, we have got the horrendous results that we do. Because we're unwilling to face that reality. And until we do, nothing is going to get better. Nothing at all. This is why it's essential that we do this. This is why it's essential. If we are not going to take that into account, and if we're not going to do what's necessary, no, it does not get better. We need to actually be honest with ourselves about exactly where we are. And this idea that, well, those are just outliers, it's not that bad. Yes, it is that bad. It is exactly that bad. Yes, it really, really is. Stop lying and saying it's not. No, it's really that bad. It really is. Stop telling people that it's okay. It is not okay. It's really that bad. It really, truly is. Let me get caller from 713. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Yeah.
What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Leanne, and I'm calling from Houston, Texas.
Leanne from Houston, what's on your mind?
I couldn't hear you, Jason. I'm sorry.
Okay, Leanne, we'll try this one more time. What's on your mind?
I was calling because I wanted to let you know, Mr. Jason, that me and my husband listen to you constantly, and we appreciate you, and we love you so much. I was really scared to call in because I felt like my intellect was not up to par.
That's okay. That hasn't prevented anybody else from calling up. That has not prevented a single other person from calling up, not on my phone, not on Carl Nelson. So lack of intellect hasn't prevented anybody else. I don't see why it should stop you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, it was that he was trying to, he was like, well, baby, I bet you won't call. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I will call. And he was like, you ain't gonna talk to Jason. I said, I will talk to him. I'm not scared. I'm still learning. And he begged me that I wouldn't call in. So I'm calling to let you know that we love you and keep up the good work, and we're still learning. And we really, really, really appreciate you.
Well, thank you very much for checking in with us tonight. And what city are you in again?
We're in Houston, Texas. My name is Lynn, and my husband's name is Patrick.
Okay, and that means if I go look up your tickets for Race War in Houston, I'm going to see both of your names, correct?
Yes, you will see both our names when you look up. Yes, you will.
I don't mean in the future.
As soon as you get it down here, we're waiting on you.
Ma'am, this film is already available. The tickets are on the website. What the hell are you talking about?
Well, what the hell am I waiting on? You're right.
Okay, well, get off the phone and go get your tickets then.
Yes, sir. No problem. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Trick love the kids. Jason don't love the short bus. In the chat room, I have something very special for you all tonight. For those of you who will be watching this recorded, you will have the opportunity to do so. I am starting specifically to deal with some of the bull jive I've been hearing on the telephone here. Specifically to deal with some of this, I am starting a new YouTube channel that will give me the ability to deal with some of these other social and personal development issues, not, lack of development issues or underdevelopment issues, but these personal development issues more in depth. It doesn't deal with some of the politics and economics that have been in my bread and butter and whatnot, because I really feel like it is time for us to get in depth with manhood training, womanhood training, personal development, and dealing with this at the grassroots level to deal with some of these other things there. For years and years, I've had something called TBA After Hours. I have decided that instead I want to start a new channel that just does something completely different altogether. So in the chat room right now, I am going to post a link. That is the link to my new YouTube channel. It's called The Business. Because we are not going to be discussing game. We are not going to be discussing we're not just discussing game. I know people like to use that term and everything. Nothing wrong with it. I got nothing against it. But in my case, I don't feel like what we do is game. I feel like what we do is the business. And definitely it's going to be an opportunity for people to be able to speak to me about things that they ordinarily don't speak about, or they don't speak about very much. I don't get to focus on it. It's going to give me an opportunity to be able to talk about that. How is it that when you're dating, I hear all these people talking about chasing females or chasing men? You are not supposed to be chasing. You are supposed to be competing, but not chasing. What about those nuances about that? This is important to make those type of distinctions. So, if you are new to this, if you have not seen that before, if it's going to be something there that I'm going to start broadcasting and uploading for that. So I want everyone who isn't there for that already be aware. This is something new that's going to be coming up from it. I'm going to be dealing with some of these issues. So what you used to know as TBA After Hours and what we used to deal with there, that's what, to be totally honest, this is going to take it to another level as far as that's concerned. Because we didn't live stream it or whatever. If I did, we live streamed it another way. But definitely you want to go ahead and post, you want to go ahead and take a look at that. If you're listening to this recorded, the chat replay is enabled, so you should be able to see the link there for The Business. That's going to be the new channel that we're starting here, is The Business. We're going beyond just talking about game and just talking about life and just talking about your upbringing and talking about whether or not you got that. Think of this as game on a different level. Think of it in that way. We're elevating it to a different level. Because a lot of your parents didn't even give you the basics. It's about time we got that covered and show you exactly how it's done from a fella who has been there, seen it, done it, got the baseball cap and the autograph. It's about time we see about doing that as well. So my new YouTube channel is coming up here, The Business. And that's exactly what we're going to be giving you, is The Business. I want everybody to join us for that. I'm in a bit of a adventurous mood here. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can take one more call here. I'm going to go ahead and post the link one more time in the chat room there. Caller from 447, whatever, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Mr. Black.
Yes, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Brother Black, this is Jeff from London, England. You hear me, sir?
Chuck from London, England. What's on your mind?
Yes. First of all, greetings to my brother from London, England, to the Black family. Yeah, we broadcast here online, and we appreciate you here in England, all your work you've done for our people. And one question, brother. When were you, if at all, be showing Race War in London? Because the last brilliant broadcast, Gentrification, we saw it in Hackney where I worked. So I saw it twice. So
Yeah.
Race War, when will it be shown in London?
You know, I gotta get a connect over there. I got a couple of people, like I say, I just haven't gotten around to it, to be totally honest with you. And I'm just being honest with everybody right now. Because I film these projects myself, I'm the camera person, I film it myself, I edit it myself. It gives me a lot of flexibility, and it gives me the ability to move on things. Because actually, I thought I was finished filming on Race War back in April. And then I got word that Jason Kessler wanted to have a second Unite the Right rally. So I didn't see, by then I'm just letting you all in on the inside business here. I had already completed my interviews with Richard Spencer and Jared Taylor. As you all know, at the beginning of the year, I had already finished my interviews with them. So I had already talked to them about Charlottesville in 2017, because we were 6 months out from that. After April, it was around June or July that I found out that Jason Kessler was talking about doing another Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. I did not see how I could possibly say that this movie was done and then didn't go to cover that. I didn't see how I could put this in theaters and say the film was done. Now, here's the issue. The issue is that by the spring, I had already announced that it was coming out in October. And I'd already talked to the theaters and stuff, so I didn't want to extend the time frame that for the film to come out. I didn't want to push it out in the winter because it's cold in the north, and I really didn't want to push it over into the spring of next year. So what it really wound up doing was pushing my back to the wall to be able to get everything together to start editing, to finish editing on it, was what happened. But unfortunately, the UK kind of fell through the cracks. It's not that I didn't want to, that I don't want to. It's kind of fallen through the cracks, but I'm going to see if I can get together with some of my contacts over there and at least see if we can try to put together a screening for that. But definitely, I want the UK to see this as well. Absolutely, I want you to have the opportunity to see this. It's very prescient, and you're going to hear a lot of things that sound very familiar with what you all have been witnessing over there as well. Because this is not an American issue, it's a global issue.
Exactly, brother, fantastic. I mean, again, on behalf of the UK, we celebrate your work because obviously we've seen Tariq Nasheed over here regularly and Umar Johnson. We need you because you're super serious. We need that because since the debacle of Dale Jones, we have no one like you. And you're right, Africa, our issue is global, not local. Ask Paul Cosby. He tried to go solo, and look where it got him. So our issues are global. White supremacy is a team sport. So is black empowerment. Brother Jeff, what I'll do, I'm on Facebook. I'll try and Facebook you, I will Facebook you ASAP, so we can know who I am. I'll contribute to your fantastic broadcast, work, Race War. And I'll continue to do so in the future. You'll appreciate you. All your broadcasts online from 2015. I've got the library of your work. I've been learning, so whenever YouTube goes down, I've still got your work for posterity. Brother Black, I'll go offline now. You've got more work to do. I'll leave you in peace. From London, England again, UK, brother Jeff, take it, brother. Black pride, black family, black first.
Black first, brother. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do check in with us again. Yeah, I definitely want to be in the UK for that. All my stuff has usually come out over there at some point, and Race War should not be an exception. Like I say, we're still not done with all the screening dates. I want to try to get all of it done within a month. I want to try to get all the screening dates done within 4 weeks if we can, so that we can start giving out the DVDs and everything and start distributing those. So I do want to have that available as well. Definitely. But like I say, it just got pushed back because I was doing this stuff right up until the last minute, and I'm still doing it because CNN won't do it. And what you all heard earlier in the broadcast from Richard Spencer, CNN won't do it, ABC won't do it, CBS won't do it. If we don't do it, it simply won't get done. TV One won't do it. Roland Martin doesn't want to do it. Roland Martin doesn't want to do it. Jamila Lemieux doesn't want to do it. Ebony and Jet don't want to do it. So if we don't do it, it simply won't get done. It simply won't get done. So yes, I absolutely want to make that available as well. Absolutely. California, California, California. I want to see about folk out there in California. I'm planning on doing something a little special out there. So I do want my California people to show up for this, or if you're in that region of the country, you definitely want to be there so you can meet Judge Joe Brown and my other guests from the film. Gonna see about having an interview with them coming up here shortly. I definitely want California to show up for this because the situation is so dire. The situation is absolutely so dire. So in California in particular, I know I've given a lot of attention to New York. I've given a lot of attention to New York, but California, it's definitely an issue for you. California, you want to be able to show up for that as well. So we're going to start giving some attention to that. Also, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, that corridor right there. We got folk bull jiving out there. If you think that Botham Jean was an exception or was a fluke, you haven't been paying attention. Detroit, Michigan, from 8 Mile on out, you need to be showing up for this as well. Chicago, if you thought that Laquan McDonald was an outlier, if you thought that that was the case, that's an issue. That's an issue. If you thought that that was the case, that's an issue. You need to be there for it. I need everybody to go ahead and show up for that. We need to make a showing of this. We need to make a showing of this. Philadelphia, D.C., Atlanta. The ATL is going to hell, but it's time for y'all to start getting a little bit better about this. You've seen exactly what's been going on. So if they don't show up, it's not because they didn't know. They've been dodging our advertising in Dallas. They've been dodging everything. But it's like rain. Everybody's getting hit by it, and they should be. So I need everybody out there, especially on the West Coast. It's about time for you all to wake up on that side of the country. I want everyone to show up for that. We're going to see if we can put a little lagniappe, as we call it down here, a little something extra on that. October 20th in Los Angeles, you want to show up for that. New York City is weekend after this one. 9 days. New York City is the weekend after this one. I want you all to show up for that. Brother Kaba Kamene, Jared Taylor, live Q&A session. It will be recorded. It will be streamed. I want you to show up for that. I want you to show up for that. Don't ask where it will be shown. Give them the web address. racewarmovie.com/tickets. There's no reason to keep asking where will it be shown. If you're asking where will it be shown, you bull jiving. You trying to assuage your guilt. I know I'm supposed to show up, and I'm bull jiving about showing up. I don't really want to go. So don't get in here asking where it'll be. You know exactly where to get it. You know exactly where to look it up. Everybody in here knows exactly where. You're full of garbage. I'm blind. You like the white folk when they see black people getting killed. I don't see nothing. I'm blind. I don't see nothing around here. What was that noise I heard? What was that noise I heard? What was that noise? I ain't hearing nothing there. Please. Take one more caller at 612 area code. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, how you doing?
What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Minneapolis. My name is Brian.
And what's on your mind, Brian?
Man, we just need to get our own land. You know, they got small towns for foreclosed out here. Just buy some small land, you know what I'm saying? Start from there. You know, we do our thing over here and they do their thing. You know,
Okay.
we ain't harming nobody over here.
Have you done
do
that?
it, you know what I'm saying? Because I've been working in gated communities and I understand how this shit works.
Brian,
We just
have
get
you
our
done
own
that?
land, you know, so
Brian,
stop
have you done
arguing
that?
And quit talking. And we
Brian,
need to
have
put up
you
money.
done
I
it?
got $1,000 on it right now.
Brian, have you done it?
I need help. We need help. We need just a couple of small circles and let's go.
Okay, tell me how much the small town you want to purchase costs.
It's in South Dakota right now, so it's foreclosed for $250,000.
Okay, $250,000. That's the average cost of a house. Brian, why haven't you gone to go get a loan to buy it?
I'm saying I need help. I need your help too.
Brian,
What's
you don't qualify
It
for
takes a group thing.
you don't qualify for a regular home loan?
Huh?
$250,000 is the average cost of a home. You're telling me that you can't qualify for a normal home
I'm
mortgage?
saying for us people. You want to still live in this type of system?
Yeah,
Just for us.
Brian. Okay,
I got
Brian, take the lead. Don't tell me about it. Take the lead. You're telling me that you can't qualify for a $250,000 home loan? Your situation is so
No, I
jacked
can't
up.
right now.
Your situation is so jacked up. You don't qualify
fucked up.
for a regular home loan, a first-time home buyer loan.
My shit jacked up, man.
Okay,
My shit
then.
jacked up.
Okay, then, Brian.
My shit jacked up
Understand
right now.
something. Okay, if you are not able to properly and competently lead your own finances, there's no way that you can give advice to the rest of us about how we should be spending ours. You're not qualified to do it.
Why?
Yeah, so your suggestions won't fly because until you show us that your finances are okay, we'd be a fool to follow you. The guy with jacked up finances is telling us, hey, here's what y'all need to do with your finances.
No, I'm saying I put finances up. I'm saying just give us, let's do a donation and be put up.
Okay, but Brian, you should be leading us. Your knowledge got you where you are right now, and you can't even qualify for a regular home loan. But you're telling us that you want us to listen to your financial advice about what we need to do with our finances, and yours are upside down.
No, I'm saying let's get this.
Brian, show us you can lead you.
Are you happy where you living at?
Brian,
where you at?
Show us that you are qualified to lead yourself.
Are you happy where you at?
Brother, I know I'm not going to listen.
Are you happy with the situation in the system?
The system is global.
Are you happy?
The system is global. It's not just in America. It's
Okay,
global.
So
that has nothing to do with your finances.
That
That has nothing to do with your finances. You can't lead us, so we can't listen to you. So here's what you need to do.
Right.
Hang up the phone and go get your messed up situation together, and then come back when you're together and we'll listen to you then. We don't want to listen to philosophy. Call us back when you got something physical.
See, that's the whole thing. You talking about list?
Understand something. You know what? Man, do I really need to do my inaugural broadcast tonight? I'm wondering if I really need to do my inaugural broadcast tonight. I don't really know. I'm wondering if I gotta do it tonight. I'm thinking about it. Might have to do it tonight. I don't know if I've got the time or the ability. I don't know. Might have to do the inaugural broadcast tonight because I gotta tell you, there are a bunch of folk out here who sound absolutely remedial. Absolutely remedial. This is inexcusable. It's inexcusable. So maybe something needs to be done about that. Brothers, do you realize how devastating to our image these phone calls have been tonight? That you've got black male after black male operating in a fantasy world. And you expect the women to pay attention. You expect the women to pay attention. And these women work around non-black men who are able to present power, wealth, and resources, and you're coming to these women who have experience with folk with power, wealth, and resources, and you're talking to them about your damn fantasy talk. The white men are opening their wallets, the Asians are opening their wallets, and I got grown-ass black men on my program opening their mouths, but expecting that the women are gonna give submission to your damn jive talk. That's the problem. You want the women to give submission to your damn jive talk and then want me to go along with it. This will be fun. Caller from 773. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, it's Rocky out of New Jersey. Can you hear me?
Rocky out of New Jersey. If you're on speaker, you need to take it off. It sounds like you're talking through a plastic cup.
Oh, no, I'm not on speaker. Can you hear me good now?
Okay, what's on your mind?
I don't know what's going on with the black males. I don't know if it's that the ones from like 18 to maybe 35 are just not productive professionally or economically or whatever it is. But all my professional mentors who are black males, they're all in their 40s and 50s and above, and they're all looking at 200K salaries and 300K salaries. I'm trying to listen and reason, but I don't see any sense amongst society. And I'm trying to wonder, like the young black males, and I'm trying to figure out where's this coming from? Is this the same stuff that Marcus Garvey and Frederick Douglass found in oil lamps and candlelit nights and wondered where's this all going to? Because I'm seeing this amongst my own community, I mean in my own circle, whether it be military, civilian life, whatever.
Is this where it's going to? The short answer is yes. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. We need black folk who are not interested in hearing themselves talk ad infinitum. Trying to end on a good note. Caller from 702, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Good evening. I wanted to call
What's
in
your
because I
name?
don't know. My name's Darlene Anderson.
And where are you calling from, Darlene?
Las Vegas. Calling from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hello, Darlene from Las Vegas. What's on your mind?
My issue, and I guess what's been on my mind, is our children. Every year, it's like they collect another harvest, and our children are the harvest. The system has always been established. Whether we benefit or don't benefit has to do with your parents' level of knowledge, and the rest of everyone else just go by the wayside. And there's really no level of advocacy by our people to ensure that the system functions correctly for us. And so I question, are we still sleeping as a people?
No.
Because every year the children are turned over, and you see some young people with 5 or 6. They don't have any education. You know their family doesn't have education.
Okay. That's an empirical fact, but that does not change our circumstances.
No, but it ensures the system is sustained. The prison system, the dysfunctional education system, we're feeding it.
Okay, but here's the problem with what you're saying. What you're doing is factual, but it's not logical. Not for the goal that you are probably implying you want. What all you're doing is saying that there are bad guys out there. It's a white supremacist system built by the bad guys. The white supremacists are the bad. Okay, Darlene, just listen for a moment. What you are saying is it's bad guys out there. The system was built by bad guys. The bad guys are victimizing us. You're right. You're absolutely correct. Here's the problem. All of that describing what the bad guys are doing, that's not going to stop them from doing it. So you can talk about how bad it is, how unfair it is, how unright it is, and you're correct on everything you said. You're factual. But it is illogical to say that stating the problem is a solution. So since we know that the bad guys are there, and we know what they're doing, and we know how they're undermining
90
us, we
seconds.
know what they're doing, but they're not gonna stop doing it. So in that context that you're playing against another football team and you're not going to get them to not show up this Sunday, they're going to show up this Sunday with their usual bag of dirty tricks. So Darlene, now that you know they're going to show up doing the same dirty tricks they've always done, what are you going to do about it?
It's time for us to show up. That's what it's time for. It's time because
60
you're saying,
seconds.
I'm saying the system has always existed. It exists as if the plantation never ended. And so there's ways off the plantation. And a lot of those ways compromise us. But then there's ways that we just remain because no one knows how to get off. But waking up and ensuring that we're participating where they're divvying up the money. We all pay taxes, and some of us pay way more than others simply because you're going to pay the taxes if you work in America and if you're working a legitimate job. And if you're not, they're going to make money off you because anytime they can pound a fraction on you, then they're going to make money off you. I think that we have to be wiser, and it requires all of us to participate in the system of oversight. But we first have to choose to participate.
10 seconds.
Well, that's one way of saying it. The other way of saying it is what Dr. Claude Anderson said. We are playing in a group sport. And as black people, we keep trying to play as individuals. We keep trying to look out for our individual interests. Everybody else is playing against us as a team. We're playing against everyone else as individuals. So the first thing that we need to stop choosing is to play as individuals. Even if our team is small, even if our team is only a few people, as long as those few people are the valedictorians, as long as that's the varsity team, we're going to be okay. The Special Forces is a very small group of people. We need to specialize in being the Special Forces. Not talking about why somebody came from a bad background. All we're doing is describing their background. We need to describe, okay, that's the reality. What are we going to do about the problem? Because that's not the fact that they're being undermined and sabotaged is not going to change just because you see it. It ain't right. It ain't fair. Now, what are we going to do about that? Because that's not the circumstances that they're foisting on us will not change. They're not going to get up one day and say, we're going to stop trying to undermine you because it ain't right that we're undermining you. They're not going to do that. They're undermining you to get power.
If you're talking about talking about the election process of the judge on the Supreme Court, quite frankly, his nomination should have never been moved forward. And there is a process that has been established and has been followed for years.
Darlene,
and if there was something in the background that
how do we get to that?
Next step, I think that somebody took a chance that maybe this wouldn't get politicized as much since so much.
How do we get to talking about the Supreme Court?
But it's real.
Okay.
I mean, I believe that whatever he did. He was clumsy.
Well, thank you very much for giving us a call here, Darlene. I don't know how in the world she jumped to the Supreme Court, but so much for, well, the ladies weren't as bad as the guys. So much for that one. Caller from 713, you're on Live with the Black Channel.
Hi, Jason.
Hi.
This is Lynn again. I'm from Houston, Texas.
Hello, Leanne from Houston, Texas. Before you say a word, have you and your husband bought your tickets?
We got them already.
You got them already. Okay, Leanne.
We got them already, and we ready. So my thing is,
I don't believe this
all I wanted to say, you got to believe me because I got receipts.
Okay.
I got receipts. Okay. So my thing is this.
Leanne,
this is what I'm trying to do in Houston, Texas.
Leanne.
I'm trying to do this in Houston.
Leanne,
yes, sir.
I'm going to give you 5 seconds for your husband's ticket and another 5 seconds for your ticket. You got 10 seconds to make whatever point you want to make, and then I got to move on.
Okay.
Go.
Here we go. What we need to do is respect our kings. We need to, as women, as older women that are 35 and up, we need to teach these young ladies.
Oh, she's starting off pretty good. Let me extend her time.
A king. Once that man has gained his respect to be the king in your life, that black man is a king in your life. He's supposed to be a king and you're supposed to respect him. respect yourself, love yourself. Ain't no way in the world no woman's supposed to be calling and disrespecting a black king that has as much knowledge as you have. You have a lot of knowledge. I would call you and ask you a question. I'm not going to call you and tell you what we, a black man, supposed to be doing. I'm a woman. How can I tell you what a black man's supposed to be doing and I'm not a black man? I'm a woman. So what we need to do is start teaching these younger generations as women, learn how to respect themselves and respect when they have a real king.
She's on to something here.
We need to respect the fact that, guess what? This man don't have he ain't got to be telling you nothing about how your life go. All you got to do is ask yourself a question, and you can answer the same question. Why do he have to go through all these silly questions? You black people need to know that y'all are asking silly questions to this educated man, this well-educated man. Y'all calling and asking stupid-ass questions.
I concur totally.
Listen to what the man got to say. Just listen to what he got to say, and you ain't got to call him and ask him no stupid-ass, excuse my friend, stupid questions.
Preach, sister, preach.
Let this man teach us. Listen, learn. Close your mouth. That's the reason why you got one mouth, 2 ears, and 2 eyes. Listen. Listen to what he's saying. You just might learn something. Stop calling this man with all these stupid-ass questions. Y'all black. Listen. Listen to what he's saying. He has a lot to teach. All you got to do is listen, and you will not call him with that stupid questions. He done answered y'all questions 700 times in 7 different ways, and y'all still ain't got it yet. Go do your doggone homework. Go do your homework.
You are the MVP. Thank you very much, Leanne. I couldn't have ended that better myself. I wanted to. That was pretty good. I ought to make her my publicist. Think about it. Just saying. If you have not gotten your tickets for Race War, good God, what are you doing? No, never mind. Don't worry. It's not a minefield out there. You can take care of this all by yourself. And then you'll be calling me complaining about, well, they got me again. It's racing. Where were you when we were all gathering? Well, I was busy that weekend. Well, whatever you were doing that weekend, that was more important. Just keep doing that. That'll save you. For everybody else who is sensible, go to our website, racewarmovie.com. That is racewarmovie.com. You definitely want to be there for that. I'd like to thank Carl Nelson for having us on today. I'm definitely going to keep you all abreast of everything else that's going on as well. Come and join us for a screening of Race War in your city, or don't. After all, I'm sure everything will just be all right. Right? RaceWarMovie.com. Here, there, and everywhere. I want to see you there. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the BlackChannel.net radio program. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. This Sunday, I'm expecting to be talking to Brother Kaba Kamene, who's featured in the film. That's definitely going to be a conversation that you will not want to miss. Everyone join us. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.